All right, we are live. What is going on, everybody on YouTube? Griffin here, back with another live stream finally after what was already a month and a half. It's been a crazy, very busy, but productive month or so since I last went live. And if you're new to me and you're joining in on, most of you find me on YouTube or LinkedIn. And if you're just new to me and wondering who the hell is this guy, my name is Griffin Thomas. And I actually own a pest control company specifically in the Dallas, Texas area, Preferred Pest Management. And on my channel overall, I just kind of document that entire journey and answer a bunch of your all's questions throughout the way, just trying to speed up your process of growing your business. It doesn't have to be just pest control, of course. You guys know my channel. We cover various number of topics, finances, a lot of AI lately. Been pumping out a lot of AI content just because there's been a lot of AI stuff going on that is affecting every industry, not just tech industry, but home service businesses. And if you, for specifically those of you in home service businesses like pest control, plumbing, etc., if you apply a lot of the stuff we talk about, not just with AI, but marketing in general, you're going to be ahead of at least 90% of your competition. If you don't believe me, just do a simple like Google search or Chat GPT search, whatever the case may be, of pest control in X area, and just look at what your competition is doing. If you're in a high competitive area like me in the Dallas, Texas area, it's a little bit harder. You have to work a lot harder and do probably spend a lot more resources and money as well. But for a lot of you guys that are in kind of, say 200,000 population or less areas, you're going to dominate your area if you apply the things that we talk about on this channel. And if you're new to just how our live streams work, we tend to have a topic that we kind of go over for a little bit, and then we mix in some Q&As as well. I like to do the topic at first, the first 5-10 minutes, just to allow people to start rolling in. I see we got a few people tuning in so far, but I like to allow everybody to roll in. So that's where we hit on the topic. And then from there, we hop into Q&A. So, of course, if you have any questions, you can drop them in the comments down below if you're watching on YouTube. And I believe you can do so on LinkedIn as well. We should be live on LinkedIn and not Instagram as of yet. Speaking of Q&A, by the way, you're probably seeing scrolling at the bottom here, somewhere around here, that we now have a phone number too for like future live streams and videos that you can submit questions to. You can text that number, you can call it. It should go straight to voicemail, and you can leave a voicemail there. But that is the number that you can submit any questions to. I'm also still getting information from a lot of people. I've had a lot of people responding on the whole idea of podcasting. I've had a lot of you guys reaching out, and we're starting to slowly but surely kind of book up the next year. Of course, I'm running a real business, quote unquote, my pest control business. So time is of the essence. And I apologize if I haven't gotten back to you yet. But yeah, the easiest way to reach out is that, or of course, in our comments down below. But of course, like we said, we'll start out with just the topic of the stream, which is just rapid growth requires rapid transformation, specifically for you as the founder, CEO, maybe solo operator still, whatever, wherever you may be in your journey. It's going to require rapid transformation that a lot of people just simply are not going to understand, not even going to support in a lot of cases. Just not even so much that they're not going to support, but again, they just don't understand because they haven't been on that journey. They haven't gone on that journey. So a lot of it is, if it's somebody close to you, like family member, spouse, whatever the case may be, a lot of it is, you're pitching them on the vision, but you also have to show results as well. So that's what we're kind of hitting on briefly. And then, like we said, of course, we'll hit on your Q&As. I have some comments pulled up in the background because, of course, like we said, it's been about a month since we went live. So we have quite a few comments to get to from the last live stream. But so, like, what are we talking about whenever we're saying, I want rapid growth, but it's going to require rapid transformation? So it all starts, of course, with you yourself. Obviously, if you're a solo operator, this is pretty straightforward, right? It's learning every aspect of the business because in most cases, unless if you're taking on investors, loans, this and that and the other, which I don't usually suggest for most people, especially if this is one of your first businesses you've ever started, regardless if it's in the pest control industry, AI, tech, whatever, field you may be in. I always suggest trying to cash flow as much as you can for, at least that first year. Make sure that hey, we're not going to fail within the first year, and then you can go from there with that. But when you're starting out and it's just you, what does this mean? What's the transformation of ourself? it's investing into specifically, it could be courses, which I am very weary of courses. I'll tell you guys straight up. Like those of you that know my story and been following my channel for a while now know that that's how I got into entrepreneurship and business in general, is because I actually got totally scammed when I was like 17, 18 years old, right out of high school on a course, one of those get rich quick that you just don't know better than when you're 17, 18 years old back in what 2015, and the internet, all that was still taking off in terms of all these courses. But there are now very, very, very legitimate courses out there put on by Google, Meta, even a bunch of universities now. They're getting so desperate for people to sign up for courses. They're kind of giving you not what I would consider fluff courses, but actually full on courses that you can do online for free. For free. So again, I mean, there's no harm in just doing the research. And how do you find these? Pretty simple. Nowadays, you can just go into Chat GPT or Gemini or Claude, whatever your favorite tool is. Go in there, prompt it, tell it, hey, you are an expert in whatever business that you're in. Like for me, I always say, you are an expert in the pest control industry. You master the skills of marketing. You don't want to give it too much. I always, whenever I prompt these, I like to be very specific, like, okay, pest control and then marketing. And then I tell it from there, your job is to go find me whatever content you can find, video content, blog content, webinars, courses from colleges, and all the different forms of education, so to speak. And give me a list of at least 20. You don't want to overdo it. I find if you do like 50 or 100, it just starts pumping out a bunch of trash more than anything. But or repeats even. But if you tell it, give me 10 to 20 of the best ones, and then from there you start tweaking it, like, okay, this one's not good, I want more like this one. By the time you chat with it for about 5-10 minutes, it ends up giving you a solid 5 to 10 results at the minimum that you can then go in and that's just in the case of marketing in this example. You can do this with find the financing side of the business, how to go find an investor, how to pitch an investor, how to manage inventory. If you're more in the product space or even in pest control, you should keep track of inventory, obviously. Any aspect of your business, you can literally be quote unquote self taught. Obviously, like anything in business, pay to play, right? Obviously, the more that you're willing to spend and the more time you're willing to put in, the faster you're going to learn a lot of skills. Like me personally, most of what I've learned has been on YouTube. A couple of free courses here and there. I may have bought one or two. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, specifically in like Google Ads specifically. I think I paid about $100 for one of them back in the day when I was first getting started. Just kind of like a fundamentals, which again now you can get from Google for free. Um, but yeah, no, of course, like the more that you're willing to spend and the more time that you're willing to put in, the faster you're going to see yourself as the founder transform. And why is this important? Because without at least having a foundation, at least in my opinion, from my experience so far, without having that foundation, and at least what I always jokingly tell people, I know enough to be dangerous in all aspects of your business, at least knowing enough to not get screwed, you're going to get screwed. You say SEO. SEO is a very, I'm not going to say scam industry, but there are a lot of scammers, like in any industry, but specifically in SEO. And if you don't know, SEO, of course, is that search engine optimization, for optimizing your website and all this different stuff. And there are very good companies out there. There's very good courses out there for it. But I would say there's even more just scammy, fishy, just what they call black hat SEO, all this different stuff. That's just not good, right? So if you did not put in the time, resources, energy into learning enough about SEO to know when, hey, this isn't the way this should be going, or hey, this sounds like a bunch of fluff and BS. You don't even know one, what questions to ask whenever you're looking at hiring an SEO company. You don't know how to measure that company's results because you never set up things like marketing tracking. Like, sure, the phone may be ringing more, but how do you know that that's because of the SEO efforts from your website in this example? How do you know it's not from your efforts on your Google business profile from getting more reviews and optimizing that. And because you didn't do any research and learn about things like call rail, and not even just call rail, but different UTM tracking tools that you can put on your website to know exactly where, at least 90% of your traffic is coming from. Every time we get a call, I wait for my call rail report to send me an email, and I look at that to see exactly where that call came from every single time. When it says, direct or organic search, something like that, I know that boom, that's SEO. And then when I see, of course, Google Business Profile, obviously it's pretty straightforward, Google Business Profile. And lately, we've had a lot coming from ChatGPT search. So, again, if you didn't invest the time, it's more time than anything. But if you're not going to invest the time and resources to at least learn enough to, like I said, be dangerous, be aware of what's going on, you're going to lose a lot of money. You're going to get screwed a lot, and you're going to potentially hurt your business because say I remember whenever I first started my business, because I always like to tell you guys from my real experiences. When I started my business, I went with a company that was actually referred to me. And I'm not going to name them because, it may have just been a bad experience, but, um, they had this quote unquote review generator, which, okay, sounds pretty normal. Like the review generator, that's pretty common. GorillaDesk has that now, but it was not that type of review generator. It was a review generator that would literally just ask anybody essentially that came across the website to leave a review for us. Now, thankfully, those reviews were only showing up on the website because of how they had it set up or something and not going to like our Google business profile. But we were getting like dozens of just absolute spam reviews left and right. Just it was ridiculous. So within like 1 month of using that company, I learned my lesson, shut that down completely, took control of the website myself, used one other company since then. And then ever since then, I've just been hosting it myself. Why? Because I've invested thousands, and I'm not BSing you all when I'm saying like I've invested thousands and thousands and thousands of hours into learning SEO, specifically on page or on site SEO. Starting to try to learn a little bit more about offsite SEO, getting more backlinks and things like that naturally, not in a bad way. Obviously doing things like sponsoring teams and events and things like that, charities. I'll have videos about that for you guys because that's something that a lot of companies sleep on, especially smaller companies that need to build up some what I consider not equity but trust essentially with the Google algorithm when they see that, oh man, this company is getting links from not just your chamber of commerces, which are great, but your chamber of commerce, and oh, they sponsored this event that's been going on for 20 years. They got a backlink to that page. Oh, they got a link from such and such, podcast. There's a lot of ways that we can go about this, which I'll talk about in a very detailed video for you guys later on down the road. But again, we've gone over a lot just in terms of SEO, in terms of, the rapid transformation from the SEO side. I knew nothing. I didn't even know what the hell SEO stood for when I got into business. I was like, what the hell is this SEO and SEM that like I keep hearing about? Like I see it in like Reddit groups and stuff like that. I was like, what the hell is this? And then once I finally started to learn, it's like, oh, like a giant light bulb goes off and you realize like, holy crap, this has been done wrong. This has been done wrong. This has been done wrong. Like I wasted all this money and time because again, time is the most valuable currency that we have, not just from the whole, work-life balance BS, but in terms of your business growth and your website growth and all of that. Time is of the essence. If you're wanting to build a business like I talk about on my channel, I want to grow my business to at the bare minimum $50 million valuation. Ideally, $50 million per year because I know it can be done easily in the state of tech. I don't want to say easily because it takes a lot of work, obviously, and time, etc. But just in terms of the sheer mathematics of it, very easy to hit 50 million a year in pest control in the state of Texas. Put it that way. Just look at PCT magazine rankings and you'll see how many Texas companies show up in there. But time is of the essence. When you kind of just think, oh, I'm going to start my business, open up the Google business profile, open up a Facebook profile, maybe post on Nextdoor and a couple Facebook groups. and then the phone is just going to start ringing, right? Like that's what a lot of us think when we first start. And then we sit there and we go, damn, a whole day went by. I didn't get a single call. I got a like on my Facebook page though. I got a like on my Instagram post. Like there's so much more that goes into it that you have to realize going in that this journey is going to require a total transformation of just how I think about business. It's not for the weak. It's not, a hobby that you can just get in and, oh, I'm going to join a couple groups and network with people. And don't get me wrong, like networking is amazing. Like I'm in a couple networking groups now that are generating, a solid amount of business for us. Like I highly suggest you guys do that as you start building your business to where you have employees and you have time to go to these events. But again, I know I'm kind of all over the place, at least in my mind. It feels like I'm kind of all over the place in terms of like this entire subject, but I feel like I have to explain it this way for just people to understand the radical transformation that it's going to take. Otherwise, your only other option is stockpile a lot of money, go get an investor. And even then, to go get an investor, you better have a damn good presentation and know how to pitch an investor. So, again, we're talking about radical transformation of learning. You have to be able to learn and not just learn for the sake of learning, because there's a lot of people, including myself from time to time, we'll consume all this content. We learn it all. We become what I like to call professionals in education, so to speak. Like we're mastering learning, but then we don't know how to, like, we don't actually go and apply it. So in the future on this channel, I'm going to try to focus a lot more on like just the aspect of like how do I go about learning the concepts that I learn. Not that like I have it mastered by any means. I mean, I'm still watching and listening to podcasts and videos myself on just ways of doing simple things like note taking. I went and bought a whole bunch of just note taking books. That way, I can organize my notes. I found that there's something about going from digital to writing on pen and paper that I don't know, it just sticks way better. And I'll give you guys even a larger hack, which is kind of off topic at this point, but give you guys even a larger hack. If you write it with your opposite hand, hear me out on this. I know it's going to look like chicken scratch. It's going to be ridiculous. There's something about writing with your non-dominant hand. Now, obviously, it's going to take way longer at first, because like what I started doing was doing it 5 minutes a day. Whatever I'm learning, Bible reading, stuff like that, just 5 quick minutes. And next thing you know, in that 5 minutes, you're filling up a page, 2 pages. Like it almost doesn't come quite as good as your dominant hand, obviously, but it becomes almost like a second hand nature as you do this. Give it a week. If there's one thing you all do this week, again, I know I probably sound crazy. Let me know down in the comments a week from now if you stuck to this and you did it for 5 to 7 minutes a day. Just wrote down anything. I mean, you can start out with something simple like your name, the date. Did you get your workout in today? This is literally what I did my first day because I just didn't have a clue on what to do. And then I transitioned into, Bible notes and different things like that. Do it 5 to 7 minutes a day and watch one. It's going to be funny how much better you get with your left hand, crazy enough. But two, how much of that information, whatever you put in there, sticks. Don't believe me? Try to remember what you had for dinner last night or 2 nights ago. You're probably sitting there like most people going, shit, I don't, what did I have? Like, you're gonna, if whatever you write down for some reason with that left hand, I notice it makes a huge difference. Again, I know it probably sounds crazy, but there is a lot of neurological science to back a lot of this up. My whole point is you have to try to gain any edge possible to learn as much as you can, as fast as you can, because the faster you can learn and apply, the faster you're going to get to where you want to go. Like if I, again, like I always talk about on this channel, if I had known this whenever I started my business, where I am now versus where I would be now, hindsight 2020, right? We would easily be 7, 8 figures right now. And that's probably being pretty conservative. And we're on our way now. Like, I mean, our sales are now just skyrocketing compared to even just a year ago. We're up, last I looked, around 51%. year over year. So we are definitely going in the right direction. But yeah, that is kind of the topic, so to speak, that I wanted to hit on. I see we got about half a dozen to a dozen of you all in here right now. Shout some of you all out who are in here. And of course, if you have any questions or anything like that whatsoever, feel free to drop it in the chat. I'm gonna do some quick shout outs and then we'll hop into some recent comments and questions that we've had on the channel since we did our last stream. First and foremost, a shout out Freddie. Hope your August was good. Yeah, you too, sir. Yeah, August was actually pretty good. I cannot complain in terms of year over year growth. I believe we were up somewhere around 20% in terms of August of last year to August of this year. So growth is growth. Wasn't necessarily a slam dunk or anything, but it was definitely very, very good. So hopefully it treated you well as well. And I think that's actually it that we got for shout outs right now. And hopefully you guys are enjoying the stream as always. If you are, do me a favor, of course, smash the thumbs up button, share it with somebody. With that, I'll kind of dive right into some of the comments that we've had recently. So let's see. This comment comes from Whisperer. T Whisperer on YouTube. He commented on our rodent proofing 101 video where I did a very in-depth exclusion like tutorial video, kind of walk you guys through step by step how we do exclusion services. He asked, can't the rodents pull those rolls out? Pull out those rolls. I'm guessing he was referring to the because I didn't get any clarification from him on it. I'm guessing he's referring to not the steel wool, but the excluder that we use, which is very similar to steel wool. And we have only had it happen one time ever. And it was where some rats had gotten trapped in the attic, even though we set a bunch of traps because we knew there was a high probability with that home of there being some in there because it was a pretty high infestation level. We've only had it one time ever where just one little piece had got pushed out, and we saw the insulation where the rat had gone through that weed pole. Other than that, no other time have we had any rodent wildlife of any kind pull the excluder out. We make sure that we're putting enough in there and we're pushing it in far enough to where you essentially have to have like needle nose pliers and apply some pressure in terms of pulling it out yourself. Like it's difficult enough for a human to pull it out, but um, yeah, we've never had rodents pull that stuff out. And of course, I'm not affiliated with Excluder, the company, or anything like that. Matter of fact, I think their product is slightly overpriced, but it works very good. So, the whole you get what you pay for works out there. But now I cannot attest to things like steel wool. There's like copper meshes and things like that. I have seen before where a lot of those have been pulled out on jobs that we go back on. Not from like us doing it. I mean, like a company has done it in the past or homeowner tried to DIY it, whatever the case may be, and we follow behind them and we see where some of it's been pulled out. But that's some of that cheaper stuff. So hopefully that answers that question, and I'll let him know that we answered that in here. And then let's see. Jerron Church 830 said on our Google reviews are disappearing video from a few months ago. That video went mini viral too. It had 16 to 20,000 views last I looked, which is pretty high for this channel. He said, my company is losing reviews every week. Why is this happening? So with the Google reviews, man, this is so frustrating. So obviously, you guys probably know if you had your own business at the time, back in February, we had this purge of reviews where everybody lost 50% or more of their reviews in 24 hours. Just it felt like every time you loaded up your Google business profile, just reviews were dropping and dropping and dropping. And thankfully, within about 3 days, I believe, whatever happened got fixed and all of them came back. But there is this common theme that has been going on for I would say at least the last 3 to 4 years now, where you'll be getting your reviews, and then boom, you'll lose one or two reviews randomly. And unless if you're paying super close attention, have a spreadsheet and all this, it's almost impossible once you get over 100, 200 reviews to know which review was lost, right? Very, very frustrating. I just had this happen. We've lost 2 reviews in the last 3 weeks, as a matter of fact. We had one about a week or so ago, and then another one I think 3 weeks ago. And it still seems to be a mystery. I've kind of given up, in all honesty, on like looking into the why is this happening. There's so much conflicting. Google's like silent about it. Like their only response is, oh, if it doesn't fit Google's guidelines, then it'll be removed. And it's like, dude, y'all are removing perfectly good reviews. Like there's no reason for it. Like we don't have a bunch of freaking family members. Like we've been in business for half a decade. Like we're not having family members review us unless if they use our service and they get the review link, obviously. But um, which is hilarious because we do have a couple of reviews from way back when we started our business. Me being completely transparent, we have like 2 or 3 reviews on there from when we did first start that I would consider aren't legit reviews that still remain to this day. So I don't know, guys. Like it's very frustrating. My only, because I'm all about when it comes to business, we have to control the variables we can control, right? So what can we control? We can control how many customers we are sending the review links to, review velocity, right? So the solution is if you have a list, which tools like GorillaDesk with smart views make it easier than ever to do so. If you have a list of customers that have not left your review, I wouldn't say blast the review link to all of them at once because you don't want to get like 50 reviews, 20 reviews, 10 reviews in like one day all of a sudden. But like do it in like little batches, like send out 10 review requests to these customers, 10 here, 10 here, 10 there. And just again, do that once a month, ideally. Just go through and see who hasn't left your review, follow up with them again. Don't spam them, obviously, but like follow up with them. Hey, how's everything been? Are you liking the service? Awesome. If you could leave us a review, that'd be great. Blah, blah, blah. Control what you can control. Get more reviews. That's all we can control at the end of the day. Get more reviews. If for every 20, 30, 40 reviews you're getting, you're losing one, is it really going to matter at the end of the day? Yes, it's frustrating. I know us personally, we should have about 60 more reviews than we have currently. Maybe not 60. I'd say about 55, 50 to 60 that are just flat out missing. So it is frustrating. But at the end of the day, we can only control we can control. We can submit the evidence that, like, hey, you took this review away. In a lot of cases, nothing ever happens when you do that. I have heard some people have success with the whole, request for review process, but again, there's a lot of red tape or yellow tape, I should say, in terms of you have to know what review was removed. Um, you know, hard evidence that this was a legit review. Like there's just so much there. The like, which is easier to go through all that BS with Google or to just simply up our review velocity. So I know it sucks, but hopefully that at least gives some clarity on that. Let's see, we got Jonathan Lawson in here. How's it going, brother? I'm trying to get into pest control as well. I know you've answered this before, but I can't find the answer. Um, what certifications or license do we need in Texas? So I can't answer that one because I'm in Texas. So I know exactly the answer to that. So, and again, like this advice will go to pretty much any state, but I'll get a little more in depth since I'm in Texas, of course. The easiest way is to go to the Department of Agriculture website. If you have, I'm sure, like me, you notice that their website is very clunky and hard to navigate. Like I definitely suggest doing it on a laptop or desktop. Um, but they have a section that literally, let me see if I can even pull it up for you guys real quick, as a matter of fact here. Texas, but I'll kind of, while I'm pulling that up here, I'll walk you through kind of the easiest way, we'll say, to do it. So the easiest way to do it, like this is how I did it, was, oh, that's not what I was trying to look up. There we go. The way that I did it was I went to a pest control company and I got my tech license because in pest control, or in Texas, I should say, for the pest control industry, you start out as an apprentice. A lot of states, you just go straight to technician, and then technician, you take your tests, become certified. In Texas is different. You have apprentice level, which is like what you're at when you first hire somebody. Like, say, I went and hired a brand new technician with no experience, or his license expired, whatever the case may be. He would have to start out in most cases as an apprentice. Of course, there are some caveats to it. If you're transferring from another state, or if you had a degree in like biology, entomology, things like that, like there are different cases. That's why I always suggest going to the source, the Department of Agriculture that I'm getting pulled up here for you guys here in just a second. But like I said, the easiest way to do it is just do your time. Go into a pest control company, get hired on as an apprentice or technician, but in Texas, it's going to be apprentice first. Within 6 months or so, I believe at, at the earliest 6 months, and you have up to 12 months to take the technician exams. Once you pass the technician exams, you'll be a technician. Then you have to be a technician. If I recall, I believe it's a full year. You have to be a technician for a full year before you are then eligible to take the certified applicator exams, which are pretty much the same exams, just a little bit harder. A lot more laws and regs. Like it's a little bit harder. But as long as you study your ass off, like it's not gonna be a big deal, in all honesty. Um, but you do that, pass, boom. Now you're certified. Once you're certified, you are free to go start your own business. Um, that's how I did it. Actually, how I did it was is I got fired, during COVID. 4 days before taking my exams to become certified. I got certified Halloween of 2020, started my business that weekend. So, which I believe Halloween was on a Saturday that year. Let's see. I'm trying to get this pulled up here. It's hard for me to do the stream talking and pulling this up for you guys at the same time. Matter of fact, let me present. Oh, now that I'm on here, I will show my. So get rid of that, and then we'll share the screen. Texas Department of Agriculture. Might take a second for it to load up here. Oh, share screen. Why is it not working? For some reason, it is not wanting to load this page. Oh, gotta love when these softwares don't want to work right. What is going on? Well, shoot. I guess while that loads, I'll just kind of explain through it. So I'm actually on the home page right now for the Department of Agriculture. You go to license and registrations. Below that, there's rules and statutes, which then, of course, you can look through all the different ones. But the main one is structural pest control law, occupations, chapter code. That's going to give you like 48 pages of just everything. Which little hack, you can download this, put it into Chat GPT, tell it, hey, find in here what someone needs to do to become a certified pest control certified applicator who could start his own business, and then voila. That's the shortest way to do it. Matter of fact, I might be able to. I'll do this. I'll copy this link to the PDF and I'll post it in the chat. This should go to YouTube and LinkedIn for you guys. Might take a second to go in there. So if you copy and paste that link, it'll pull up the exact PDF I'm talking about. It's almost 50 pages long. Hence why I said I would download it, put it into ChatGPT or Claude, whatever you like to use, and then tell it somewhere in this PDF, it tells us what we need to do to become a certified applicator in the pest control industry to start my own pest control business. Figure it out for me, something along those lines. Obviously, you can prompt engineer it however you want. Let me see if I can get this freaking page to show. I don't know why it's not working. That's very frustrating. Let's see. Oh, yeah, it's just not wanting to present my screen today. That's the weirdest thing. Okay. But yeah, no, like I said, yeah, no problem. Yeah, I saw you say thank you. Yeah, and like I said, this will work for pretty much any state that you're in. Though I get a lot of questions from where are some of the hot states? Florida, California, Arizona, New York. What other states do we get in here a lot? I feel like some other. Oh, I think Washington, if I recall, like North Carolina occasionally, like any state if you just type in, state, so North Carolina, California, whatever the case may be, Department of Agriculture, and you click on it, a lot of them have a search bar too, which I don't utilize enough, but, usually it's relatively easy. If not, again, use their search bar and just type in, structural pest control law, something of that nature. And then you should find, if not a PDF, a web page. And worst case scenario, just take the main Department of Agriculture homepage, take the link for that. Again, put it in ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, whatever, prompt it to find the answer for you. And um, if it seems kind of wrong, push back on it. Be like, hey, no, I've heard this, and that. Dig deeper. I noticed with the new ChatGPT update, a lot of times you have to use the words like dig deeper, think as long as you need to. Like the more that you kind of prompt the new ChatGPT, GPT-5, I notice, to take its time. I mean, I've had it take 5, 7 minutes to give me an answer, depending on like the complexity of the task that I'm having to do. So, little tip there for those of you that are using GPT and maybe having some issues with the new GPT-5. Um, Definitely do that as well. But man, that's so frustrating. That's not allowing me to share my screen. I'm gonna have to mess with some settings. It looks like after the stream. But yeah. Hopefully that helps out a bit. Let me go back in here to some of these YouTube comments. Let's see. Michael English glad. Oh, it's not a question, but he said, "Glad I found you. Thank you for sharing your life experience with your career. Very helpful." Yeah, no problem. Like I said, that's what this channel's here for. At the end of the day, um, is just to help you all out in any way that we can. This question here, not gonna lie, I may not have a straightforward answer. This kind of goes back to the question about starting a business in a way. But Caesar Santiago 321 said, "What paperwork or rules do I need to hire a 1099 technician?" So again, things are gonna vary state to state, but in Texas, it is very, I'm not gonna say impossible, but it's very difficult and gets very cloudy when it comes to hiring like a technician as a 1099. As a matter of fact, I don't even know. I don't even know if it's possible. I'm not gonna lie. Again, that's where we can utilize the AI and everything like that and get a get an answer within a few minutes. But honestly, in my opinion, it's not worth it. It's not worth, if you're at the point where you're ready to hire, just hire. Like, I mean, I know everybody's situation is different to some degree, but looking back on like my hiring experience this last year, I way overcomplicated, like way over analyze just like, oh, all the different costs and this and that. Just if at all possible for you, hire as W-2. And then from there, like I said, depending on your state, again, just going back to utilizing these AI tools that we have, pull up your Department of Agriculture website, paste that into whatever your favorite AI tool is, tell it what you need, what your main question is. If it seems like it's giving you a BS output, again, a way to kind of avoid that in most cases is tell it it's very important that you get this answer right from a legal standpoint. Think as long as you need to get me the right answer. Go. And there you go. Let's see. Got a question from YouTube. Let's see. How's it going, Chad? Let's see. How would you recommend someone spend $5,000 a month marketing budget? And I'm guessing I mean Southwest Florida. Not a fan of door to door or cold calling. I'm lost. I'm lost when it comes to marketing outside of word of mouth and community events. So, first thing that I would get into is one, how is your online presence in terms of your SEO, of your website, SEM, so to speak, first and foremost, along with your Google business profile. Like, how is all that gelling? Like, are you getting, because I see you said, let's see, lost outside of word of mouth and community events. So it doesn't sound like, and you can tell me if I'm wrong with a follow up comment there. But it sounds like you're not really getting a lot, if any, from like your Google business profile, from your website, anything like that. Because let me be honest with you guys, like I always talk about on this channel, these are, don't mistake it, digital assets of your business. We are at a point now where like we're annoyed if our Google business profile isn't getting us a bare minimum of 2 to 5 leads a day. Like, just think about if your Google business profile, an organic reach, system, because I don't pay anybody to manage mine. I manage the Google business profile myself. Took a few months to kind of get it optimized, and we're actually having to go back in and do a little bit here and there from where I made some errors when we moved. But um, once you get that thing up and going and you're starting to get reviews, depending on, again, obviously the population of your area and things like that, you should be getting at the minimum a lead to, even depending on, again, your area, 1 to 10 leads a day just from that Google business profile. We have had days where we've had 8 to 10 leads just from our Google business profile. Um, and that's not even getting into the website side of it. So my whole point with that is for $5,000 a month, you could go do Google Ads. I'm not saying you can't. Um, if you don't know much about it, obviously we have a lot of videos on this channel that will set you up for some pretty decent success overall. But um, usually your first $1,000 or so ish, depending on, again, competition in your area and stuff, is gonna kind of burn a hole in your pocket. Like, you might get one customer your first 500 to $1,000. Sometimes you strike gold. Like, every time it seems like I fire up a campaign, I get a customer with like my first $100, and then like you get all, oh man, this is the campaign that's gonna kick out, and then it takes like another $300 before you get another customer, or maybe even $200 before you even get a lead in some cases. So the thing with my whole point with like doing Google Ads is that $5,000 can be burned up relatively quickly. Where if instead you take and apply that $5,000, say, like you said, say if you don't, uh, like you're just kind of totally, and I don't mean ignorant as like a derogatory like that, like just you don't know, like if you're kind of ignorant towards the Google business profile aspects and, search engine optimization of your website and things like that, it may be wiser for you to put some money first and foremost into the Google business profile, and then whatever money is left from there. And when I say put money into it, I'm not saying like pay a company forever. Because, like I said, to me, having somebody manage your Google business profile, being completely honest, is a total joke. You can pay for, what I like to call like a la carte services, essentially, that kind of help you out, or even have somebody teach you how to do it and manage it. And for like maybe an hour or so a week, you can manage that Google business profile once you get it up and off the ground. Now, obviously, getting it up off the ground, it's going to take, probably about a full week worth of work in terms of optimizing the services and making sure your website correlates with it properly. Like, there is a lot of upfront work, but I would try to find somebody that's either A, willing to just do that upfront work for you and ideally teach you how to kind of manage it, or B, just do the upfront work. And then there's so many good YouTube videos online. That is one sector of YouTube that's very good, is the Google business profile world. Like, there are some people that blow a bunch of smoke up your butt in terms of, oh, if you do this and this, you'll go from like number 10 to number one in 24. Like, obviously that's not how it goes. But um, there's a lot that you can do to manage it yourself. And like I said, that is like the hotbed of free, quote unquote, leads that can fund future marketing efforts, if that makes sense. Because say you're going from 0 leads a day from your Google business profile to now you're getting, we'll just say 2 on average, and you close one of those a day, average contract value of $500 a year, $500 a day, essentially, quote unquote, that you're making per year. Compile that over 20 days in a month, 20 working days. You just added $10,000. I think, if my math is right, $10,000 to your 1 year outlook. That's not including any big jobs either. So let me see. I think you had a follow up comment here. You're not wrong. My father suddenly passed away about a year ago. Sorry to hear that. And I got left to run it. We were negative 6,000 a month, and I've been working to get us back to break even now. man, the fact that you're even up to break even now, I mean, in what, about a year, it sounds like that's very good. I mean, first and foremost, like take a moment just to, give yourself a little pat on the back because you took what was literally a failing business and at least got it to break even. So, now we're wanting to take it to that next level, right? And I can see where you said he's old school too. Kind of reminds me of my grandfather, to be honest. Like he still owns technically a company to this day. He's been in the industry, I think, pushing like 40 years now, something like that, 35, 45 years. And I mean, me and my cousin talk about it all the time. He started his company like the same year as a company up there that is now like the conglomerate of the Columbia, Missouri area, which if you don't know where that is, it's like where University of Missouri is. It's close to the state capital and stuff like that. But two people started their business at the same time. One decided this was the way that I'm just going to do it forever, and that just is what it is. The other one stuck it out with the times, has a jingle that I haven't even lived in that state for a decade now, but I still remember the jingle to this day. I'm not going to do it on my live stream because I'm not giving any company like that free publicity, but I still remember it to this day. Like he just dominates that area. So and again, there's nothing wrong. Like, obviously, not everybody that starts a business, their goal is to dominate, right? But you should at least have, in my opinion, if you're going to start a business, you should at least have the mindset of, I want to dominate. I'm going to dominate. I'm going to have this amount. Like, because, like, worst case scenario, you overshoot it and, oh, maybe I didn't get to 50 or 100 million a year, but maybe I got to five, maybe I got to 10. Like, which would I rather have, 5 to 10 million a year or, 50,000, which I can't even sell it to anybody in the future. So, I totally get like it sound yeah, I know exactly kind of where you're at to a degree. And the fact that you even have dug your all self out of that is very good. Like I said, first and foremost with that money, what I would do. And by the way, it should not take all your money to do this either. The Google business profile, I mean, like I said, man, I did it all myself and I did a lot of videos. A lot of them are probably about 3 years old, roughly at this point, maybe even further back. It's hard to say. But if you go back far enough, you'll see some of our Google business profile videos on this channel. And if you just kind of follow most of that, I want to say that you'll be in very, very good shape. And then just again, like I talked about towards the beginning of the stream, consistent reviews, getting reviews. Cannot stress enough. Get reviews by any means necessary. One easy way you can even do this. Shout out to, oh my gosh, what's his channel name? He does a lot of Google business profile videos. Mindsaw, I believe is his name. Mindsaw. He had this idea of go to a QR code, like you can do it on Canva, or I think there's another one called oh man, I forget the name of it now, like Pick Monkey or something like that. Like there's a bunch of different ones out there, but go to a QR code generator, get your Google business profile, request a review link, put it in that QR code and literally save it on your phone as like a picture. That way, like instead of depending on either A, you sending it post or your system sending it post service, whatever the case may be, you can pull that bad boy out right there and be like, hey, did you appreciate service? Whatever your pitch is to them to leave a review, then bang, scan it right here and leave us a review. Like, because I mean, you want to get to 50 to 100 reviews. Again, not in a day, but you want to get there pretty quick. Like I would say, with how crazy the Google, but now that all the big guys have caught on to how much the Google business profile matters, you need to get to 50 to 100 reviews at the minimum within a year, ideally. So, you're talking what, 2 reviews a week. When you look at it like that, that's not bad, right? 2 reviews a week, that's 104 reviews a year. So 1 review a week, 52 reviews in a year. So, you know, I'd set your goal at 5 reviews a week. Because like I always say, people are always like, oh, set time, man, forget that, right? I like the thinking of I'm gonna set my goal high, just like I was talking about with the whole 50 million versus whatever. Like with reviews. I want to set my target to say 5 reviews a week as a solo operator. Why? Because I'm going to push, 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 push to get that 5 reviews. Now, am I going to get 5 reviews every week? No. I might get seven actually one week. Then I might get two the next week. Then I might get three. But overall, if I set my target to say 2 reviews a week, am I going to push as hard as if I said I'm going to get five or 10? No. There's a whole psychological thing about that. So don't, which leads to a whole nother subject, which I'm not really going to get into too much in this stream, but just don't listen to people that tell you to break your goals up into like smaller goals. There's nothing wrong with having like a daily goal, weekly goal, monthly goal, etc. But have your big goals and have them at the front of your mind every single freaking day. Going back to our notebook that I was talking about from a little bit ago, get yourself a notebook that all you write in that mofo is your biggest, largest goals. Promise. It sounds frou-frou. I don't buy all the frou-frou stuff, but I'm telling you, keep those goals at the front of your mind. I don't care if it's getting 5 reviews a week or getting to 50,000 a month or getting to 50,000 a day. Have those goals at the front of your mind. Let's see. Thank you for your insight. I appreciate your YouTube channel has been instrumental in the recovery. Man, that's awesome to hear. I'm not gonna lie. Like whenever you all see me not post for like solid couple weeks or a month in some cases, yes, I'm like very busy, obviously, in my business and stuff like that. And of course, I have a family and little ones, this and that and the other. Whole life obviously going on. Not just a YouTuber or anything like that. Don't even make any money off YouTube. I've done the math. I'm actually in the negative on YouTube, um, but I'm not gonna lie, like, sometimes I wonder, like, "Man, does this stuff even help people?" Like, I mean, people subscribe and stuff like that, but I'm like, "But does it really help people?" And just seeing comments like that, it helps me, like it's not like an ego boost, like, it's just a reaffirming that, like, what I'm doing is helping y'all, so I appreciate that. Let's see. Oh, what's up, Stefan? We got Stefan in here. This is my first year in business. I'm already gonna hit about a 250,000 this year. It's nonstop. Where are you at again? I forget where you're at, Stefan. Um, you're actually gonna be right around where we're at. Like, if we don't sell a single thing the rest of this year and everything just kind of goes, so to speak, in terms of recurring, we'd be at, I think, around 225 last I looked, maybe a little more, 225, 230. And our goal for this year was 300. So we got a ways to go to get to that. But like I was talking to my guy the other day, I think 250 is a lock at this point because for some reason, speaking of Google Business Profile, we absolutely dominate a lot of wildlife related terms. And it's sounding like and just based on how the weather is looking for the next week or two here in Texas, we are having a very early fall and winter this year. They're predicting even freaking snow in November. Like what? I've never if we even get snow down here, it's like February for like 2 days and then it's gone. I got a feeling this rodent season is going to be absolutely insane, and we absolutely dominate in the 5 to 10 mile radius for search terms like rat exterminator, which some of the search terms that people search for are things that you just are like, who even uses that term? But believe it or not, apparently like 100 people a month within a 10 mile radius of us search rat exterminator, and like we're showing up number one for that in a 5 to 10 mile radius. I think wildlife removal is another one, squirrel removal. Like we have a lot of wildlife terms that are gonna keep us busy as the pest control starts to slow down. But we're in the same boat in terms of it feels nonstop. We might have a day or so where Montreal, so we got Canada in the house. I forgot that you were there actually. Um, Yeah, ours is kind of the same way right now. Like if we get a day or so or it just seems kind of dead, we're like, what the hell's going on? Like, did something happen? Like, and then we realize like, oh, it's back to school this week, or oh, this holiday this week. Like, we have to remember that there's flows to this, right? Like, there's gonna be days and weeks where it's just swamped, and then there's gonna be a couple days here and there where it's a little dry out there. Yeah, no. And of course, if you guys have any other questions or anything or updates on how your all's year is going, because we're only 1 month away from going into Q4 now. I've been doing terrible, speaking of which, of doing my quarterly update videos for you guys this year. I'm gonna try my hardest. I have a note right here on my computer, desktop, whatever screen, to do a Q4 update early October for you guys. So hopefully, we do not forget that this time, this quarter. Let's see, trying to see if we had any other questions in here recently on YouTube. Of course, someone asked, want to do a private call or consultation with you. Do you offer this? Not really, especially with the season that we're in. Like I try to, but it's just difficult. Like I've told you guys, like we try to. The easiest way, going back to this thing, scrolling at the bottom of the screen, that is like a Google Voice number that you guys can text, call and leave a voicemail on. Any questions that you guys have, because I know some people they don't want to like comment on YouTube or comment on LinkedIn or wherever you're watching. They are introverted or whatever the case may be. um if you have a question that you want to have answered, just simply text that number, call it and leave a voicemail. I'm not even going to put your voice like on air or anything, because again, I know some people are like super self-conscious of that or whatever. So like I'll listen to it, but like I won't have it stream or whatever on air for you guys or anything like that. Unless if you want me to, like, you can tell me in the voicemail, like, feel free to air this or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I finally got a Google Voice number. That way, I feel like it's gonna be awesome and kind of revolutionize the channel and podcast to a degree, because one, it'll make scheduling podcasts with you guys much easier. Like I mentioned towards the beginning of the stream, I've had a overwhelming amount of responses to that. So if I haven't like responded to you guys in a while or whatever the case may be, just know like I'm getting to you. It's just like I said, it takes a lot of time. We're trying to get to where we're doing at least a podcast per month at the minimum. And then ideally once I start hiring more and more uh technicians and admins and things like that, where I'm slowly but surely less and less in the business and more so on the business. I would like to get to where we're doing at least a podcast a week for you guys. Because I feel like a podcast a week is pretty good cadence. Because if I want to edit it properly, have very good questions, do some research on whoever is going to be in the interview and things like that, then there's some prep involved for sure. So I want to make sure that those are good interviews for you guys, that you guys are going to get valuable info from. And it doesn't matter either if you're somebody who's like just starting, you're at 50,000, 100,000. I'm having everybody on the podcast. Like you can be doing 50,000 a year, you can be doing 50 million a year. Like it doesn't matter. I've already had a couple of you guys reach out who I believe are just under a million, if I recall, and around a quarter. Like we've had numbers all over. Most of you all have been around, I believe, a couple million or less. But um, yeah, there's no requirement in that regard. As long as you have some perspective to bring to the table, then reach out to that same number there. Just shoot a text. Hey, would love to be on the podcast sometime. And then just give me as much information as you can in that text, like what your business is, how much you're scheduled to do in 25 or 26, depending on when you're seeing this, and some topics that you think you could bring to the audience that we can benefit from over here. So yeah, other than that, I think I'm pretty much caught up actually on comments. If I missed your comment, then feel free to shout it out in the comments of this stream once it goes from a stream to a video. And if we don't have any other questions or comments, then we'll probably go ahead and wrap up, because we're right at an hour, it looks like. So hopefully you guys did enjoy the stream, regardless if you're watching on LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever the case may be. If you did, do me a favor. Again, as always, just smash that thumbs up button. And if you know absolutely anybody that you could think could benefit from this stream or videos on this channel, share it with them. Share it on your socials. Tag me. If you share it on like Instagram or something, tag me. Like take a screenshot or something, tag me. And I always love seeing the support over there too. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. Shout out to you guys, the half dozen or so of you that have been in here on a Labor Day weekend. I put it on Labor Day for that exact reason. I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna do a stream like squeeze it into a random evening where I'm busy. I have been doing a little bit of work this morning, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna let the people who are dedicated come into the stream, because if you're showing up at 10, 11 a.m. Central or whatever time it may be for you guys on a holiday, then you deserve some good info. So hopefully I did provide that for you, some good info, some good motivation. And if you have any questions once this goes from a live to a video, as always, don't hesitate to shout it out in the comments, or like we said, text or call us directly at the number scrolling across the screen. And I hope you guys have a blessed September. Stay cool out there and go get the life that you and your family deserves.